morning. So I started a whole new comic book this last week. I should actually say I started a manga. And this manga does not have a script, not even an outline, not even it's not even written down. I basically did a bunch of sketches and jotted down in the sketches, kind of like story moments, of how to approach this manga. I would have to say that this is the quickest I have ever jumped on an idea. And why would I do such a thing? I mean, after all, I was the one that told everybody that I write full scripts, I outline everything, every word has been pondered upon and written down, and yet here I am. I don't have a script. I don't have an outline. It's all in my head. And for the last 2 weeks, I've spoken ad nauseum about this thing and just thinking about it constantly. It's quite the change for what I'm used to doing, and here's why. I have been drawing comic books, and you could say writing it for, like a decade. It's been almost 10 years now. Well, it's been about less than 10 years, but definitely it has been out there for quite some time. And I was just kind of going through the motions, and, I'm kind of complacent. I wanted to get better at what I did, and for the longest time, or at least when I first started, of course, like with most people, you climb and all of a sudden you plateau for a very long time. And if you're happy with where you're at, you basically just kind of coast your way through this plateau. And I want to be up here, and right now I'm down here. So for me to get from here to here, there's going to be a lot of climbing, and it's something I felt like I had to do right now. Text with Neo Wonderland, because that story is my baby, and I've been, working on that script forever. So I didn't want to jump into it with bits and pieces of information that I already had gathered. And, I studied a lot about crowdfunding, about putting together your own book. And, I have all this experience with working on books myself, except to know these things and then not put it in practice is two completely different things. So, for example, I know how to put a script together, and I know how to draw it, and I know deadlines, but those deadlines, generally speaking, are someone else handing me a deadline, and I could get things done for myself. However, to take on a project that vast and that involved with, multiple people and distribution and all that stuff, it's very overwhelming, and I didn't feel like it was something I should take lightly or just kind of fumble my way into. I mean, I possibly could, but nowadays at my age, with bills and things to take care of, and I can't just fumble through things anymore like I used to, where I had a safety net, like everybody was supportive, my parents are helping me out, and now I don't have that, and I have to be more thoughtful about every step that I take, and it's not a bad thing, I feel like it was something that needed to happen. And I also felt like I was going through the motions, like, all these projects that I've been working on for publishers and clients. While it may be great, I felt like my skills or my desire to level up weren't as quickly and as necessary as I felt like they were coming. Because there's a level of excitement that I have when I'm learning and discovering new things and challenging myself. And I felt like for a long time, I wasn't challenging myself in the ways that I felt like were going to benefit me in the long run. Because, after 10 years of doing something, you look back and wonder where all the time went. You have all these dreams and goals of accomplishing certain things. And granted, I'm very fortunate to be in the position I'm in right now. I do, however, have these things I need to do, and I realize that years just go by when you don't you don't focus or you don't plan these things and you don't actually execute them. So I figured the time was now. And not only was it now, but I needed to learn on my own and as quickly as possible in order to get Neil Wonderland out the way that I'd like to get the book out, and whether it's how it looks or the distribution and just like the whole package. I want it to be as good as I can make it. So this story is basically going to help me learn all these tools and all these things that I need. And that's also going to mean creating at a very fast pace, focusing only on the things that I find to be very important, to basically establish my art style. And I think that I get a lot of mileage by doing it this way, because I am only going to be focused on things that matter and not things that don't per se. And when I'm responsible for my own schedule, distribution, printing, and marketing and all that stuff, I will definitely stay focused, and I can't really rely or expect other people to do that for me, and I think the reason why I want to do all of it myself is because I want to learn each and every aspect of creating a book. I love books, I love comics, and just storytelling so much that I felt like it was just necessary for me to understand each and every aspect of it, and not only understand it, but also enjoy just the process of making it, because I think in order to do hard things, we have to enjoy the journey, but then also each process and each step that you take. And because I don't want to feel a huge amount of resistance myself internally just to do this, because for me to get from, like I said, from here to here, I need to be willing to, step up. And that's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing. So this book is going to be in black and white only, and it's going to be manga size, so it's going to be 5 by 7.5, and it's going to be printed as such. I don't plan on making it comic book size, and that's probably something I could figure out later on and just color the whole thing in Photoshop or whatever. But for the time being, it's going to be precisely that. I want to take as much friction off of me making this book as possible. So I've planned on using digital screen tones for this, and it's going to be between 120 to 200 pages, but I'm thinking realistically probably 180 pages. It all depends. I mean, granted, I don't have the script written. I do know that where the breakdowns for the story are, and I've drawn key moments in the story where I know that if I had to attach the progress from point A to point B and C, so the third act, I would know exactly where to place all the key moments in the story. So I think, I guess we'll see, right? But I'm going to be outputting a lot of pages per day. My deadline is, between 45 days for production, on just the art, and then, realistically a few days on the lettering, and then get it sent off to printed and then distributed on Amazon and Comixology. So it's going to be available digitally and on my official website, my shop, and then also available to order on Amazon. So that's the goal, and I felt like this was something I needed to figure out right now before I did my Kickstarter for Neil Wonderland, because granted I could just do it the way that we're all doing it right now, but I felt like for me to understand all forms of distribution right now, especially with how things have changed this past 2 to 3 years with comic book distribution, that this was going to be a huge component to getting my books out there, and then kind of the way I wanted it to. And I guess I don't have to say this, but I love black and white art, and I am coloring Neil Wonderland, so the whole entire interior it's the same size. It's a U.S. or North American comic book size and production and everything. So I wanted to get my black and white art fix and screen tones. So this book was basically going to be a test run for me, and also going to push me to improve at a faster rate than what I was doing before. I mean, I could probably challenge myself a little less, but honestly, I think time is very important right now because I am putting together the Neo Wonderland, the whole entire book, and then the process and getting everything together. So this was going to be a good test run for me to figure all these things out, and then also, get my art scratch out of the way. I just scratch that itch because it's been like the 7 year itch. It's something I've always wanted to do. Not to mention the subject matter is something I absolutely love. It's medieval fantasy, dragons, creatures, heroes, and just all sorts of stuff. So everything I could think of, I'm putting it in this book within reason, because it could easily balloon. And that was the thing that I wanted to make sure I didn't do. I did not want this book to grow out of control. It had to be within a scope that was realistic for the 2 months or so that I'm giving myself to do this, and to simplify everything as simple as possible so that my process is cut and dry and there's very little room to have to worry about changing later. Granted, if it happens, it happens, but the process should be cut and dry. And I should, once I do Neo Wonderland, I should go into it being excited, sure about myself, and because my nerves, like, they're all over the place. I am so scared. I know I've, published books with publishers in the past, but to do your own thing and then to kind of watch it grow or not grow, depending on how you do things, I just feel like I'm a little flimsy on that, and I'm scared. To be honest, I am very scared. So I know I'm speaking for a lot of creators out there who've already put their books out there. It is scary, and it could be costly, and it can be time consuming. So this is going to take my nerves off of doing that whole thing. So this will technically be my first self-published manga / comic book. So I plan on having a few volumes of this, just because, I love mangas because they're so cute and like novel sized. And when you look at their spine, it all looks the same. It's uniform and it's so pretty on the bookshelf. It's just things like that. Like, I'm trying to find little things that I love about the things that I do so that I keep wanting to do it. And I don't want to get complacent, and I also don't want to complain too much about, oh, poor me. I'm sitting here drawing all the time, like, ugh, how horrible. So I have to remind myself, because it's been a few years, to appreciate all the things that I do, the process. It's easy to say that, but when you're at your desk and you're drawing hours on end, you forget. You really do. So this is a reminder for myself to learn to enjoy all of it instead of taking it for granted, and really, I think I just have to push myself more because, like I said, I've been complacent for a few years. So this is definitely something that's going to push me quicker, faster, and make me better. And of course, with something like this, you have to think about the downside of of doing something like this. Is there a downside? I don't like how this looks. Since we already masked it off, I'm just gonna go in and add the texture anyways. So the downside, if there is a downside, it's not enough not to do this project because I would learn so much faster. And, I'm trying to make sure that I have other things that are moving along with other projects that I'm on or that I'm planning, so that I don't stop everything and just do this. But I do feel like I'm going to be focused solely on this for the time being because it there is no downside because I am going to, draw faster and hopefully get better and practice on the things that I need to focus and practice on. So by the time I get to draw Neo Wonderland, I would basically have solidified my style, which I'm still working on. The look and feel of the book, the way that I, use screen tones and the way I brush or ink something, things like that. And this book is going to be drawn on the smaller manga paper, so it's not very, let me see if I can get it. So it's not very big. This will save me plenty of time, and that's not including the crop and the bleed and the trim, so it's going to be much smaller. And I know, like most people, I love drawing on copy paper, so doing it on this paper is basically a step up from drawing on copy paper. So that's gonna be fun. No light tables. And I don't know if you guys have seen videos of mangaka and manga artists basically laying out their page and the lettering and everything all on the layout basically, and then they ink over it, because the output for manga and the times that they, from production to when they get printed and published, it's such a short schedule that wherever you go find creative shortcuts, you take them, and so that would mean eliminating certain aspects of that part of the script and the layouts and stuff like that. Of course, they have meetings and try to figure everything out, and there's more than what I'm doing, but at the same time, like I said previously, like this is supposed to be as painless as possible, as much learning as possible, and there shouldn't be a real downside. So I'm excited to get started. The paper is supposed to get here today. The paper I have now is a little too thin, so it and when I ink it, it kind of warps a little bit because I like to add some, like, more water to my pages than not. So I didn't like how it turned out as much. Granted, I could probably get away with it, but then it just wouldn't look right. And the regular comic paper is too thick for this project and too expensive. That is going to be for Neo Wonderland. So I have my Eon boards ready to go for Neo Wonderland. And these will be done on manga paper. It's going to be a size B, I think B4 or B6. Wait 1 second. B4. So this is going to be on B4 paper, and yeah. I guess we should also talk about the characters. So the characters, at least the dragons and the mistresses, are based off of my print. I already created a backstory for them, and my warriors that I have on my official site for the prints. So I've already created stories for them, and I decided to actually write the whole entire story this way. So I didn't really pull this story out of thin air. It was based around, things I already had drawn. So the characters are based off of my prints. Okay, where are we at? I already created the story. La da 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 da. I'm just not on top of my game today. I'm forgetting everything. I think I just want to draw. Okay, so I based the characters off of my print, and I mentioned that already. And I already created the backstory for them. So it wasn't, yeah, that's right. So I didn't technically, pull this story out of thin air. It was already kind of based around something I had, and I guess that's how I would, if for whatever reason you decide you just want to overnight, just wake up one morning and work on a whole comic book and manga and just spend 2 months doing it and just dropping everything. That's how I do it. I don't come out of it. It's not out of thin air. It's always going to be pulled from something I already have in the back of my mind, or something I've always wanted to work on. And it's easy to spend 2 months drawing dragons and warriors and creatures and just battle scenes when it's kind of the stuff I love. So it's not like I decided to draw a story about my life or something. That would be horribly boring. And I don't know, it'd be kind of hard to draw that every day. Unless, of course, I added dragons to it and creatures and, you know, cats, and then I could probably sit there and draw it every day. But that's not happening. Anyway, so yeah, this story came from things I already had, you know, drawn, and concepts and ideas, and enjoy drawing. So everything in here as practice is going to be because I enjoy drawing it, and it's not because I'm, you know, crazy, which I still am, but it's based off of things I love. Whew. Well, here we are. I'm going to draw the first page today. I started trying to draw it last week, but then, like I said, the paper wasn't working out, so the new paper should get here today, and I am so excited to just dive in and draw this thing, because I don't have a script, and I'm doing this kind of fast. I'm going to be forced to stay absolutely focused on this thing, because I get distracted very easily, even living in the woods, by everything. Like I'll want to like go online and do stuff and want to do other things, but the fact that I don't have it written down and I don't have it pre-planned per se, my mind is going to be completely focused on this. So if I face plant, it's okay. This is part of the process, part of me learning and hopefully leveling up as an artist and a writer. And you guys get to learn from all of my mistakes, because I promise you I will tell you when I've done something that just doesn't work. Don't do what I do. All right, thanks you guys. Please hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you guys around again. And thanks for always, you know, supporting me and watching my videos. And all right, have a good day.